Venerable Sir.
Hello, Venerable Sir.
Let's greet to Seattle together, everyone. Hello, Venerable Sir.
Hello, Venerable Sir.
Venerable Sir.
Nice. Everybody. Nice to see everyone again. So now we have Paris, but Florence is missing, is that right? Or am I wrong? So do we have Paris or Florence? I will need some more time to recognize you. But I think you're Paris, right?
Yes.
You're Paris, nice. So at least one thing I got wrong, right? And Florence is coming?
He's here.
Okay.
Hello, Venerable Sir. Miranda couldn't join today because we are out of town today and, for the vacation. So,
I see.
yeah,
Okay.
please excuse, Miranda for today.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So let's start with meditation. You can sit in a comfortable meditation posture. Make sure your back is erect. Side cast down. I'll be waiting for you all to get ready. Melanie needs to adjust her camera. I'll be waiting for Paris and Florence to prepare themselves. Melanie, I also need to see your face, so maybe if you sit a little further and also tilt the camera a little up. Yes, and now you also need to tilt the camera a little up. If there's a way. Yes, that looks so much better. So let's give a minute or two to Paris and Florence. See if they can arrange their cameras. All right. I think Paris and Florence need to adjust their camera a little better. Maybe if you can keep your camera on something higher, like on a chair, that would help a lot. That also is not bad. That's not bad. Okay. Okay, so Paris and Florence, do you think you can sit in the way Caitlin or Melanie are sitting? Yes. Now Paris is sitting right. Florence, Florence, are you sitting in a... Okay, okay. Next time, please wear some trousers, if possible. That will help a lot. Okay, and don't you feel cold? Florence, you don't feel cold? Are you comfortable? All right. So as we are sitting in a comfortable meditation posture, make sure your back is erect. Side cast down, we will keep our eyes open throughout the time, but we will not be looking at the videos or things. Instead, if we have a floor in front of us, we will see that, and we can make the first determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. And with that determination, we can gently, lovingly notice the flat piece of flesh at the top of the head. Let's allow it to be heavy and changing. We continue in this manner to the forehead, eyes, nose, lips, chin, cheeks, ears, back of the head, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the head to be heavy and changing. We continue to the neck, shoulders, arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingers, tips of fingers, chest, abdomen, back, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the upper part of the body to be heavy and changing. continue to the buttocks, thighs, knees, calves, the heels, soles, toes, tips of toes, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the body to be heavy and changing. As we give freedom to the body, we ourselves achieve freedom from worry about the body. So let's enjoy this freedom. The number one thing that's important for successful meditation is that we do not move during the practice, but rather than straining yourself and making effort not to move, instead relax, enjoy. This is the time for you alone. Enjoy this time when you can dedicate yourself to yourself. The more you enjoy, the more you relax, the more will your body reward you. If you allow the body to be itchy, to be painful, then the body will see that indeed you're serious. When the body sees you're serious, it will reward you by comfortable feelings, by feelings of peace, by feelings of clarity, of freedom. Now, as we have achieved peace, let's share it with other living beings. We can start in our room. Listlessly, we can wish. We don't expect, we don't force. We just allow, permit. May all beings in this room be in peace. May all beings in this room be in peace. And we can gradually expand our thought of loving kindness. May all beings in this building be in peace. May all beings in this city or village be in peace. May all beings in this country be in peace. May all beings in this country be in peace. May all beings on this continent be in peace. May all beings on this planet be in peace. May all beings, including me, be in peace. make sure your back is erect. Now, because the time for this sitting is finished, let's make the last determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. And with that determination, we can slowly, mindfully change the way of our sitting. And we can take one more minute without any movement, during which we will observe the peace we gained in meditation. Okay, so if you like, you can come closer to your cameras. So, Florence, would you like to come closer to your camera? You're still waiting for your legs, okay. Waiting for the legs to recover after 15 minutes? Shouldn't be so hard. Paris, do you meditate with your sister every day?
We forget to meditate some days.
I cannot hear you well.
We forget to meditate some days.
You forget to meditate some days? I see. When did you meditate last time?
A few days ago.
A few days ago? Oh, that's good. In average, how many times a week do you meditate?
Like 1 or 2. Paris has to go to clinic, right? Yeah. Paris has to go to a clinic right now.
Whatever, but Florence, how many times a week Do you meditate in average?
1 or 2.
1 or 2 times? Okay. Well, I see I saw you had quite a, okay. All right, so today we will be reciting the Sri Lanka pronunciation, right? So, because you all know it already up to some extent, I will ask you to repeat after me without the paper and see if you can gradually master the final version, or let's say the complete version in the way it is done. So the Sinhalese version is done in Sri Lanka, the Burmese version is done in Myanmar. If you can master the final version, then when you travel to Sri Lanka, or if you meet with someone who follows the international version, you can easily take the Refuges 5 precepts with them, or if they're a monk, then from the monk. All right, so I would like to ask you everyone to unmute and to keep your hands together as the symbol that you're serious about taking 3 Refuges 5 precepts. And we can start right away. Yamahang vadami tang vadetha.
Bhante.
Aham bhante
Aham Bhante.
tisaranena saha
Tisarana
Saha
panchasilang dhammang yajami.
Silang Damanya Jami
Anugahang katva
Anugahang Katava
silang detha me bhante
Silang Deta Mi Bande
anukampang upadaya.
Anukampang Upadaya
Dutiyampi aham bhante
Dutiyampi Aham Bande
tisaranena saha
Tisaranena Saha
panchasilang dhammang yajami.
Panchasila
Anugahang katva
Anugahang Katva
silang detha me bhante
Silang Deta
Bande
anukampang upadaya.
Anukampang
Upadaya
Tatiyampi aham bhante
Tatiyampi
Aham Bande
tisaranena saha
Tisaranena Saha
panchasilang dhammang yajami.
Panchasilang Yajami
Anugahang katva
Anugahang Katva
silang detha me bhante
Silang
Deta Mi Bande
anukampang upadaya.
Anukampang Upadaya
Upadaya
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
Sambuddhasa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Excellent. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhamman saranang gacchami, Sangham saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
เตรียมพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิ
Tadiyampi
ทุติยมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิ
Tadiyampi sangham saranang gacchami.
Very well. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tadiyampi
buddhang
buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang
Saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi
Tadiyampi sangham
sanghang
saranang
gacchami.
gacchami.
Very well. Okay. Sarana gamanang paripunnang.
Amabande.
Yes, that's right. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu michhachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu michhachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majjapamadatthana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Tisaranena saddhing panchasilang dhammang sadhukang surakkidang katva appamadena sampadetha.
Mapande.
Very well. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you soon attain the eternal bliss of Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Very well. So now that's pretty good. So let's see if next week, hopefully I'll remember that next week we have Burmese pronunciation. And this was actually now complete. This is exactly how the Sri Lankan people would take it. It is no more difficult. This is the most difficult stage. So you have passed that. So now our task is to maintain it and make sure that you remember it. So let's see if we can find a way how to, I'm thinking if there is a way how to save even more time, but I wonder whether this is something that we should be saving time on. But we shall see. For the time being anyway, it's good to continue in repeating this so that you can remember it for a long time. And then later we can consider if there are any options to maybe to reduce, like to recite. I don't know. This is the shortest version of the recitation, and you would be reciting 3 Refuges, 5 Precepts before, at the beginning of every Dhamma talk in Myanmar and in Sri Lanka. So if you meet with a monk for a Dhamma talk, so a monk is giving a Dhamma discourse. First it starts with 3 Refuges, 5 Precepts, and then you can discuss Dhamma. So it's like this in Myanmar, in Sri Lanka, possibly in Thailand as well. So this is very basics. This is the very basics that you need to know if you join a community of Buddhists, if you visit a Dhamma talk that's official, then you always start by 3 Refuges, 5 Precepts. There is one more thing, however, that you may like to know, and it is known in Myanmar as Okata. This Okata is a kind of wish and also apology and also worship. 3 things in one. It doesn't take long time to recite that, but it is a little complicated because this is a very brief summary of so many things. When Burmese people recite Okata, which is always recited in Myanmar before taking 3 Refuges, 5 Precepts, whereas in Sri Lanka it is never recited. So Burmese people know Okata, Sri Lankan people have no clue what is that. The recitation is short, but it is a list of many things. And to understand and to memorize, to remember those things and the meaning of those things, that will take us some time. But I think we are getting close to the level where I can add up Okata to your knowledge. Because Okata is something that perhaps every Burmese Buddhist knows. It is absolute basics in Myanmar, but it is totally unknown in Sri Lanka. So we will look at it in the near future. But I want to first warn you that although it's very short, so when you hear it, it feels like, okay, so you just say, I apologize if I did anything wrong to the Buddha, and that's it. But actually, it's very long if you unpack it. If you start to explain what is the meaning of the different things that are mentioned there, like 4 things of this, 5 things of that, 8 things of this, they are wishing there this and not wishing that. So as soon as we start to go through those little lists that they only briefly mention in the Okata recitation, then you will see how complicated and how rich is the Okata recitation. So if you can understand, if you can know Okata recitation, then you suddenly get a lot of knowledge. Even if you know how to recite it again, what's the main point is to understand the meaning of those different words, of those different lists. All right, so let's continue in our book. Malini, do you know what is the chapter that is coming today, that you were reading the last week?
Last week, we read the 10th chapter.
That was for the hard drugs, right? So what is the chapter for today? Melanie?
I don't know.
You didn't read you didn't read the new chapter 11?
I forgot to read it.
You forgot to read it. So let me see. Chapter 11, stress. Yes, Melanie, that what you have now, that's exactly what you had to read about. Okay, so who has read the chapter? Langhom, did you read chapter 11? Great. Langhom, can you please read for us your notes from the chapter?
The effect of stressful experiences and emotional trauma on adolescents can have serious consequences for mental and emotional health later in life.
Thank you. Caitlin, did you read chapter 11?
No, I'm sorry. I was with family and friends last week for New Year's, so I didn't have a chance to read the chapters.
Okay, well, New Year was like 5 days ago, right? But if you... What can we do about that? Do you read a whole... Yes. The chapter stress apparently is not so big. So what can we do about that?
I can read most of it right now because I'm quite a quick reader. So if you would like me to do that, I can do that.
Yeah, I think this is one thing that we can establish, that if you did not read the chapter, then you can read it the day when we have the class. Well, that's actually quite late in your place, right? It's like 8 now. Could be 8:49 in California p.m. So if you can make it, then that would be great. And if you just find there some sentence or yes, some sentence, then you would type it up in Viber and send it to our group. If you find there a paragraph that you like, you can summarize it and write a summary of that paragraph, and that would be very nice. So this would encourage you to read the chapter. The idea is that you do not get lost. You know, suppose that you do not read 3-4 chapters for several weeks. If you do not read any chapter, then you will find it very difficult to catch up with us. Whereas if it's just one chapter, it's always easier. Melanie, what is the last chapter you have read?
The 10th.
The 10th. Okay, then that's great. So Melanie, do you think you could read chapter 11 tonight and send us a sentence that you find interesting?
Yes.
That's great. So Paris, did you read chapter 11?
Yes.
Perfect. Can you please read for us your notes?
During adolescence, more than at any other time, emotions rule our lives.
Emotions are okay, that's good. What about Florence? Did you read chapter 11?
Yes.
Perfect.
Stress is a big player when it comes to emotional trauma.
Can you please speak louder and maybe come closer to your microphone?
Stress is a big player when it comes to emotional trauma.
Can you do you have any more anything more? Feels like this is very short.
Okay.
Ideally, always make 2 notes. Then if we are not many people who are reading, I will ask you to read 2 things. And if we are many people, I will ask you to read 1 thing. I myself have a lot of notes from the book. So I could have, like from stress, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I think 12. And some of them are pretty long because they're just so wonderful. So, and I have three that I have highlighted. So I have 12 notes, and I have 3 highlighted notes inside those 12 notes. So there's a lot of interesting information. Anything that you don't know, and that you think is useful to know, then that's something you can note down. Ideally, you type it up so that you have it easier you can easily search it later in the future. If you write it in a notebook, then that's nice, but you know, the notebook can get lost and things can happen, and you may not have your notebook at the time when you need to have your notebook. Somebody can take the notebook away. It doesn't work well. It's better if you have a software like Evernote or OneNote, and you have there your account and you write there your notes, and then whenever you just log in, you have your notes wherever you are. Whenever you want to read them, you have it with you. Okay, Florence, can you read for us a little more?
Emotions are the barometer of mental well-being.
I cannot hear you. Can you please come closer and speak louder?
Emotions are the barometer of mental well-being.
Okay, those are very, very little, how to say that? Very little shout outs. Okay, that's fine. That's all good. It seems like Caitlin actually has read the chapter. So, Caitlin, if you have a sentence that you found interesting there, can you read it for us?
The main difference between adults and adolescents is that there is much less activity in the frontal lobe of adolescents compared to adults, which ends up making it harder for adolescents to control their emotions.
Yes, very well. Thank you. Now, for me, I'll read for you two of my notes that I have highlighted here. For adolescents in general, the two strongest predictors of PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, are exposure to violence and the sudden death of a loved one, according to the American Psychiatric Association. And of the two, the unexpected death of a loved one is the more common for PTSD. And close to that, in page 145, an important difference between adolescent depression and PTSD. So here we are comparing the depression in general and then the PTSD as a disorder, as a psychological disorder, is that fear and agitation are more characteristic of PTSD than moodiness and withdrawal. So if the teenager is moody, withdrawing, staying alone, then that is not very probably PTSD. It could be, but it's not so probable. More probably, if the teenager suffers from fear and agitation, it is possible that they suffer from PTSD. Not surprisingly, anxiety disorders are more likely to develop in children and teens exposed to trauma. All right, so these are very interesting things for PTSD. You know, if that is a disorder, then that means that according to the psychiatric manual, you have DSM, which is Diagnostic Statistic Manual. You may like to know this. It's a very special knowledge that you do not have to know, but it's extremely important. You don't need to know it, but it's extremely important. It's extremely important for psychologists and psychiatrists. So we have today DSM-5. It's a book. It's a manual. Diagnostic and Statistic Manual. Diagnostic and Statistic Manual. Now you probably know that manual is something that you have at hand, you know, and you use it to give you some advice. If you have a question, you look there and you know what to do. So this Diagnostic and Statistic Manual, today we have version number 5, is a manual for psychologists and psychiatrists. If someone comes with a psychological disorder, then the psychologist, psychiatrist either refer to this manual or they already know what is in the manual. If a psychiatrist gives you some medicine, like antidepressant or some other medicine for your mind, then they will do it only because you qualify for a disorder according to the Diagnostic Statistic Manual. What does the book do? The book tells you PTSD. For PTSD, you must fulfill this. Either 3 of all of these, or for a certain time this, or for certain in certain way that. If you do not fulfill the requirements, then you don't have PTSD. That's it. For autism, you need to fulfill this. If you did not fulfill all of those, or let's say 3 of those, or 5 of those, then you do not have autism. It's that simple. So the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual decides what is the level of the condition from which we call it a disorder and until which we do not call it as a disorder. So you can probably understand that this is a very important book, because this book decides whether you have a mental disorder or not. These books decide whether you will get medicine or not. This book decides whether you will go to mental hospital or not. Only this one book, no other book. It's big, pretty thick. A lot of disorders there are, a lot of things. For PTSD and for these, usually the requirement is that you need to suffer from it at least about 6 months, and that it must severely impair your work or your study or your life. If it does not impair your study, if you feel that it does not cause you a serious problem in your life, and if it has not been troubling you for a long time, like 6 months, well, then it does not qualify as a disorder. You may have the disorder full blown, but because you've had it just 2 months, it doesn't count as a disorder yet. Does that make any sense? It should not make any sense. That's the problem. Because it's very hard to make sure whether your disorder is just a temporary, emotion, or whether it's something long-lasting that is staying with you and needs a special treatment. And the doctors, the psychologists, psychiatrists will recognize that only after some time. So these are also some of the things that we are studying at the university. After about 3 years or 4 years, I will probably have a license to also decide whether someone has mental disorder or not. So far, I'm working on it. So these are very important things for you. If you ever were wondering whether you should take some pills for depression or anxiety, you need to understand that you can take those pills only if you qualify according to this book. The book is for free. You can actually Google it and download it and read it if you want. There's no price for this. It's free. Anyone can read it, but not everyone can decide according to it. Only the certified, licensed psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, mental health counselors, which is what I'm studying for, marriage and family therapists, and finally social workers. These 5. They can decide. Maybe you have your school counselor at school. Do you have a school counselor at school? Caitlin has. Melanie, do you have a school counselor?
I used to.
And now you don't have any school counselor at school?
No.
You mean like your school doesn't have a counselor?
Currently no.
Okay. And Paris, Florence, does your school have a counselor?
No.
My school does.
Your school does? Okay. And Lenghong?
Yes, we have 3.
You have 3 counselors. Is it a big school?
I guess so.
Excuse me? It is
I
quite
guess
big.
so.
You guess so, okay. Does your school have a counselor? Okay. All of the counselors are actually fully able and qualified and officially qualified to decide whether you have PTSD, anxiety disorder, autism, and many other disorders. And they all use DSM-5 for that. So if you ever wonder whether you have a disorder or whether your friend has a disorder, you can check your DSM-5, but you cannot decide that. You can check your DSM-5, but unfortunately that's not it. That's not complete. DSM-5 decides yes or no, but some of the things are not very clear. So for that, there are questionnaires, and the students, they need to fill, or the people, not just students, also adults, when the psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, therapist, or a social worker, when they worry that the client may have a disorder, a mental disorder, then they have special questionnaires, and these questionnaires need to be filled by the client, and then the therapist will decide whether the disorder is there or not, and then therefore what will be the treatment, how will they provide the support or encouragement, or whether they will refer the client to a psychiatrist or not. Now, only psychiatrists can prescribe you medicine. Counselors cannot prescribe you anything at all. Psychologists also cannot prescribe you anything at all. But a psychiatrist can prescribe you everything. Psychiatrists can prescribe you anything. They're totally free. So you, if someone refers you to a psychiatrist, then that means it's a serious issue. It means it's an issue that cannot be resolved by meditation, by nice thoughts, or by friends, or by peace, and so on. I'm curious whether the counselors in your schools use games for their therapy. Does anyone have such experience, or have you ever heard of your counselor using computer games for therapy? Caitlin has? No one else? Caitlin, what kind of game does the therapist use?
Well, I've only heard of it, so I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure our school has like a wellness center. So if you're not feeling mentally healthy or mentally stable, you can ask your teacher to go to the wellness center. And I think they have like yoga balls, coloring books, and things there to help calm your mind. However, I'm not sure if any like counselors have used like one-on-one computer games with kids. So, but I do know they use wellness centers.
Okay, wellness centers, interesting. So, Caitlin, do actually students really come to their teacher and say, I'm mentally not stable, I want help? Do they really do that?
I visited the wellness center once, not because I wasn't mentally unwell, but because I had to do a scavenger hunt. So, I went there once, and there were like 5 kids there. So I'm pretty sure kids go there all the time. I know a few friends who've used the wellness center once.
Okay.
And yeah.
What would be the situation when a student decides to go to such a center?
Well, maybe they're stressed because of something at home. Maybe they are not feeling mentally able to focus in class. But mainly it's just if your mind isn't feeling okay, so you just use the wellness center. I also think after you go there 3 times in a semester, I think the counselors will call your parents and tell them like, hey, could you check on your kid, maybe take them to a psychiatrist because they've gone to the wellness center way too many times. And sometimes maybe counselors will like talk to the kid, and they'll be like, are you okay? You've come to the wellness center an alarming amount of times this semester, so like how are you feeling and stuff like that. that's what I heard they do. I'm not sure because it's my freshman year, so I don't really know too much about it, but I think they do that.
Okay. How do the other children view the children who go to the wellness center? Do they bully them or mock them or ridicule them or talk about them in a funny way, or do they take it seriously, or do they provide additional support? I mean, the other children to the children who go to a wellness center.
Well, personally, I think that I have a friend who's gone to the wellness center, and I really don't care if they're feeling unmentally stable and the wellness center is there for help. So I feel fine for them going, and the wellness center is promoted a lot in our school. Like a lot of counselors are like, if you're feeling mentally unstable, please go to the wellness center. And there's multiple surveys that have come to me and they're like, do you know about the wellness center and would you use it if needed? So, and I've never heard anybody bully anyone because of going to the wellness center. Because I know a lot of teenagers nowadays are some of them are mentally depressed, or some of them are just not feeling too well mentally. So, I haven't heard anyone who gets bullied because of going there. So,
Okay, then that's fine. And Leng Hong, how about in your school? Do many students go to the wellness center, and those who go to the wellness center, how are they viewed by the other students?
People usually don't go to the we don't have a wellness center, and people don't really go to the guidance. But some people do go there, get help or enjoy their time in there.
Enjoy their time? What do you mean by that?
Maybe talk to the teachers or something.
So you said you had 3 counselors. Do you know whether many students get help from those counselors?
I'm not sure, but depending on your name, your initials, you're designated to a certain guidance teacher.
So each student has a kind of advising mentor. How do you call them?
Guidance counselors.
Guidance counselors. Okay. And then if you have any difficulty, you see your counselor. But they are probably not counselors who will diagnose whether you have a mental disorder, right? Or are they?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like counselors who will diagnose your mental disorder. Seems like they only help you with your studies. Okay. And Almao, how about in your school?
We do have wellness centers every Wednesday, and I've never been there before, but
no problem. And do many students visit these centers?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay. Do they visit them for fun or because they have difficulties?
I don't really know about that, but I'm pretty sure they do have some difficulties, and they might also visit their friends who are in the wellness center.
Okay.
And we have to take a ton of surveys about, are you okay, mentally ill? Or
I see. So in the survey, there's a question are you mentally ill?
No, it's how well are you doing in the school year? Or
yes, I see.
how do you feel about the school year?
Okay. Okay. All right. So anyone has any question, anything you'd like to say, anything regarding what we've been discussing today? So for next week, so hopefully Melanie can read tonight chapter 11 and send us a little note in Viber. Okay. Melanie, are you here with us? You know what I said? Okay. So next chapter is 12. So please everyone read chapter 12. It's a little longer, it seems. It's like 15 pages. So what about if you just read one half this time? 150 until 156. So only 7 pages. 150. I see. You probably do not have my page numbers because I have cracked the book, but you can simply find your chapter mental illness number 12. And can you tell me how many pages are there, Melanie? Yes, Melanie, are you here with us?
34 pages.
34
Around.
pages. Okay, so if you can read the first half, it would be nice. The first, let's say, 17 pages, that would be good. And then for the other week would come the other half. So what are those pages? Can you tell us on which page does start the chapter, what's this, mental illness? And how many pages, and what will be the page? Yeah, well, what's the page where it starts?
Oh, I actually read the page amount for chapter 11. I don't know the page amount for chapter 12. It starts on 183 and it ends on it should end on this page called 204.
204. So that means that it has like 22 pages only, right? What do you think, Melanie?
I think it has 21 pages. Wait, 22
Okay.
pages.
Okay, nice. I'm happy we agree. So, so if everyone can read 183 until 193, then that would be nice. Yes, I wanted to tell Melanie that Melanie's name is actually a Czech word, and it means raspberries. So when I call you Melanie, I think of raspberries. Okay, just for you to know. In Czech, we would write it like this. Okay, so now you know a Czech word, everybody. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. It was a pleasure to see you all. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be successful in everything you do.
Thank you, Venerable Sir, and everyone for joining for the Dhamma class today. And before we leave, let's greet to Seattle together. Please unmute your microphone and let's greet to Seattle together. Thank you, Venerable Sir, and goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye,
Venerable
Venerable
Sir.
Sir.
Goodbye, Venerable Sir.